Hello and welcome to another video. In this video, I have a React project setup, and I'm going to show you uh, s- how we use useState hook in React and why we use it. So I have a basic project setup here. I have this app.jsx which I'm rendering in the main.jsx file. So I'm using Tailwind for styling. So in this app component, let me make a few changes here. Let me give it a height of dynamic viewport height, width full, bg rows 500, and flex items center, justify center. So we have got this nice background. Let me also erase this. Let me render a div here, and a button. Click me. We add a few styles to the button as well. Class name py, padding vertical of 3, padding horizontal of 4, rounded, let's say small, text white, border white. So we got this button with some styles. We give rounded LG to this to look a bit nice. So now we got a button with some rounded borders. So let me create a variable here, const. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable with some initial value, and render the value of that variable inside this div, and with this button I'm going to tie up on click listener, and upon clicking on that button I'll increase the value of value inside this variable by 1. So I'm going to save let's say a number. So let me give this constant a name, counter value, counter value, let's say 0. So let me add a on click listener to this button. Upon clicking I'll set counter value plus plus. I can write counter value plus 1. So to render the value here, I'm going to write the variable name inside these curly braces. So counter value, as you can see, 0 has, you can see the 0 here. Let me give this a style this. Let me use a flex call. So now they are arranged in a in one column. Let me style this a little bit more. Class name, text XL, bold font bold, and text white. Text white. Can give it. It's not taking the text size, I guess. 4XL. No, it's taking font size as well. Let me give a gap between these two. Gap of 4. So we have a nice looking button and a value now. So if I click on this, the value inside the uh, counter value variable should increase by 1. But when I click, nothing happens. But when I click, nothing is happening. Let me show. Let me, instead of creating an arrow function here, I'll create a separate function. Const handle click. Handle click. That's going to be an arrow function. Let me erase this. Handle click, put handle click inside this on click, so whenever I click on the button, it will call this function handle click. So inside the handle click, I'm going to increase the value of the counter. Counter value is equal to counter value, initial value, plus 1. So I have declared this as a const. So upon assigning a const variable once, we cannot reassign it. So I need to change the type of this variable to let, so I can reassign it. So if I click here, nothing happens. Let me put a log here so that we confirm that whenever I click on the button, this function is called. This function gets called. So I'm going to put a console log here. Clicked. So let me close this. Let me close this for now. Open the developer tools. Console. So whenever I click on this button, you can see clicked is logged. How many times I click on the button, it's logged here. So let me close the developer tool as well. So now I want to see, now we are sure that the function is getting called. Now we want to see if the value of the counter gets changed. So after this, I'm going to log the value of counter as well. Counter value, and to identify this log, I'm going to give it a name, counter value. So let me open the developer tools again, inspect console. So whenever I click it, 1 is logged, 2 is logged, 3 is logged. So the function works, and the value inside the counter value variable is also incremented, but it's not reflecting in our UI. So why is that? So whenever the button is clicked, the value inside the counter value changes, but our UI is not rendering to show the value of the count, to show the value inside the counter value change. We need to re-render upon every click. So for that, React gives us useState. So what we can do is we can declare mm, first of all, let me erase this so we don't get any errors, or I can comment this out, comment all of this out. So React gives us some hooks. So we can declare counter variable like this now. Counter COU, counter value, counter value. So this is the variable which stores, we call it this as a state, which stores the state, and useState gives us another thing that's called the setter function. So set, we can name it set counter value is equal to use state. VS Code is helping me with the imports. So when I typed use state, it automatically imported the use state. So whatever we write inside this, that will be stored initially for this counter value. That means the initial value of the counter value variable is whatever we write in here. So let me write 0 here. So what this use state hook gives us, it gives us a variable which stores our state, and it gives us a function that resets our state. So we have already written the counter value in here, so you can see 0 appearing here. Let me save this. You can see 0 appearing here. If I write 1 here, you can see 1 here. So what we want to accomplish is whenever we click on this click me button, the value inside the counter value variable should change, and it should also reflect in our UI. So to do that, we need to call this function that useState gives us. So we can copy that and paste it here, and whenever we call handle click, it will call this set counter value function, and we can counter value, we can add counter value plus 1. So whenever this is called, it will take the whatever is in the counter value and it will add 1 to it. So let me save this and let me try. So as you can see, whenever I click on the button, the value of the state value inside the counter value variable gets incremented by 1. So that's what how useState makes re-rendering, making dynamic changes in the UI so easy. So that's it for this video. Thank you.